Hello! As always, I'm doing readings in Phony About section. So, we have gone into Scorpio season. There's a lot to cover here. First, this is a really excellent time, especially for the next couple days, because we have Moon in Cancer, so that's supporting this Sun in Scorpio. It's creating a grand trine with Neptune in Pisces. The next couple days is a great way to kick off the Scorpio season. Technically, we started it with Moon in Gemini, but I feel like this is when Scorpio season is really kind of beginning energetically in a certain way because we have all this water energy. It's helping us to understand our feelings, to understand what kind of transformation we want to manifest over this next month, because that is the main focus for this Scorpio season. We have Sun in Scorpio opposite Uranus and Taurus. We've had that the last couple of Scorpio seasons. We'll have it for the next like 4 Scorpio seasons as well. But we have Mars going into Scorpio the day before Halloween on the 30th. So that also is going to be opposite the Uranus and Taurus during this time. It's quite a time, and also we have Saturn and Jupiter both in Aquarius, which we have not had the last couple Scorpio seasons, and we'll have Saturn in next Scorpio season, but Jupiter will be in Pisces, and all in all, what we're looking at for the Scorpio season is the next month is of transformation. Even where we are right now, we'll get into some specifics right now for like the next, like from here until the 30th, because, well, we might as well go into it right now. Because Mars is in Libra until the 30th, so it hasn't quite joined this beautiful, very helpful, transformative tension. Again, there might be some parts of it that's a little frustrating, but ultimately, what's going on with this month, we'll get into Mars in just a moment. What's going on with this month is making huge steps forward, huge, like life changing. I don't mean to be so dramatic. I know astrologers can really blow stuff out of proportion sometimes, but this really is quite a season that I've been looking forward to since I first realized, like, oh, the Sun and Mars are going to be in Scorpio during this season. It's going to be opposite Uranus and Taurus. The Sun and Mars are going to be conjunct for almost all of the month. Whoa, this is cool. This is really interesting. And Jupiter and Saturn are square. Actually, it's a T square. They're square the Uranus and Taurus and the Sun and Mars in Scorpio. So what does this all mean? As we've been talking about, October has been a month of reorienting. It's been more in being in our heads. It's been more figuring out what do we need to say, when do we need to say it, what do we need to do, what is our long-term vision for our lives, what relationships are helping me and supporting me and serving my best interest, and which ones I need to let go of or put on the back burner or whatever it is. Ultimately, it's been a time of kind of like tinkering in our minds and reconfiguring. And again, we're still that's kind of the tension that we're feeling for the next couple of days, even up until the 30th. We'll get into that in just a second. But we're still coasting. I've said it so much for this month, and it's all the more important in these last like week or so, last 6 days, because we're just coasting. We still have Mercury retrograde shadow period until November 2nd. We still have Jupiter and Saturn shadow period until like the first couple of weeks of January. But ultimately, we are moving forward, especially with Mercury retrograde shadow period. We're nearing the end of this coasting period. November is going to see major growth, even with Jupiter and Saturn's retrograde shadow period as well. So all in all, take your time, be patient. Again, the bit of tension we're feeling is because Scorpio is ruled by Mars, and Mars, as always, there's no such thing as a bad energy. Mars in Libra can be phenomenal in its own way, but it is an energy that is rough. And I think especially when we have Sun in Scorpio conjunct Mars, but Mars is in another energy first off, and it's in Libra at that, we have this feeling of the Sun is like, okay, let's transform, let's grow. Again, it's meeting that challenge of Uranus and Saturn and Jupiter, and Mars in Libra is like, oh, but I'm not quite. Mars in Libra is more of a collaborative energy, and Scorpio really is not so much collaborative. It's more focused on the inner emotions, the depths. And so we're at this kind of like feeling for basically the next like 6 days, because I think especially with the moon in Cancer, because, well, we'll get into that in just a little bit, but no, yeah, we'll cover that now, because the moon in Cancer is square the Mercury and Mars in Libra, so we might feel like, oh, this is how I want to grow. And that's great. We need to be feeling that for the next couple of days. Like, okay, how is it? Like, let's be tenacious. Let's set our goals high. Let's go for it. Moon in Cancer is actually a very tenacious energy. It's very focused on setting goals. It might not be as obvious as, like, say, Moon in Aries, Moon in Cap or something, but it's still very much like, okay, let's move forward. So we are getting a little bit of tension for the next couple of days. As always with Moon in Cancer, let's just enjoy our emotions. Let's stay home. Let's stay around family. I think a huge part of this time period, the next couple of days, is really reflecting. Again, tonight, Tuesday, and most of Wednesday, reflecting how do we feel, what needs to grow and what needs to change over the next month, but not pushing for that change right away. Again, not until really the 30th. There's always time for progress, so don't be too passive, of course, but really we're kind of, again, coasting into the first week of November here, especially like November 2nd, when Mercury retrograde shadow period is done. We're flying. We're really starting to grow and transform deeply. But even with Mars entering the realm of space known as Scorpio on the 30th of October, so just again a couple of days from now, that's when it will be able to kick into gear in a major way. So be patient. Don't be too hard on yourself. Again, we're still kind of in the tinkering phase. We're like starting to feel all of that raw Scorpio intuition and instincts to be able to grow, and that's awesome, and that's important to focus on for this next month. Again, let's focus on that, because I think that's the last major thing, and also probably the biggest thing of today's reading. I know we talked about it a little bit, but again, whatever there can be tension, there can be Saturn is square, so there can be a sense of, I need to do this, I have responsibility, I have duty, but it's a bit different from what we were experiencing during the Sun and Leo transit this year a couple months ago, when Saturn was opposite it, where it felt like, oh man, it's really like on me, I'm feeling the pressure, but it's good, it's helping me to grow as always. This, in this sense, it's like, I see the pressure, I'm not facing it though, I'm not like hitting up against it, Now it's like, I feel the pressure, but ultimately what I'm really focused on with all this Scorpio energy is the Uranus and Taurus transit. I'm focused on growing. I'm focused on evolving, not like necessarily growing in a Saturn way, like step by step, but like let's change the rules of the game. Let's leap forward by leaps and bounds, all sorts of leap metaphors. Like, let's evolve. Let's evolve in major ways. So again, from here until the 30th, we're not quite in the tapping into this energy fully, but that's what's cool, is we can use this time from here until October 30th to really figure out, how do I want to grow over this whole next month, especially over the next couple of days, like setting goals, maybe having a vision board. I've reformulated my vision boards just like a couple of days ago. It's a great time to do it, because again, we're in the very beginning of this massively transformative season. And ultimately, as long as we just show up and do the work, and which is true for any time period, of course, but during this time period, if we show up and do the work, we can launch forward, especially with the last 2 weeks of Scorpio season. So later on in November, basically like mid-November, maybe like even like November 10th to November 22nd, 23rd, whenever it switches over into Sagittarius. So the reason that is because, again, if we just show up and do the work for the next couple of weeks, really feeling this Saturn T-square, then we access the Jupiter T-square, where Jupiter is in Aquarius as well. And it's, of course, T-square, all the Scorpio energy. We'll have the Mars in Scorpio by that time, really like well entrenched for about 2-3 weeks. And then we have the Uranus and Taurus, and it's just, we're able to whoosh. So focus on that. For me, just as a parallel, I've realized, I need a little bit more time for this book. It's like 45,000 words, but I'm like finishing the last chapter this week. I'm really excited. And that's my thing, is like, just keep showing up, of course, always showing up, doing readings. Just work really hard on that. And by the end of November, I'll have a book. And cool. And again, for all of us, we can have major, like, tangible progress. And a lot of this growth is going to be internal, but ultimately the internal growth is to serve some kind of external manifestation. That's the nature of Saturn in here. I think also with Jupiter, to be able to have something that'll help us to grow. We grow, and then we gain something that helps us to enjoy our growth and to grow even further. And one last thing, also I've realized, musically I need to really focus on my solo stuff. I love being a part of bands, but I really need to release a bunch of music too. So I'm just getting back into playing these instruments, making sure that it's all working. So I think that's my main focus, for the next like week and a half. Like, be very disciplined with these things, continuing to be disciplined with the book beyond that, and in general. But again, I think for all of us, focus on what you can be disciplined with over the next like 10 days, and then you can focus on being able to do things that you couldn't do before, or you just weren't doing before. It's just the season later on in November to be able to actually do these things and move forward. In some ways, especially with what we've been thinking about for all of October. Infinite love to you, my friends. Namaste. Peace.